Coming up, I build a fully automated Netherite factory. I also build an automatic Lapis factory as well as another XP factory to generate so much hyper experience that I can finally get fully hyper enchanted. Let's create Netherite. I need it. I've only got one, and I need it to create myself a whole bunch more armor and tools because in the last episode, I created this system that turns experience into hyper experience using lapis and glow squid and blaze cakes and nuggets of XP. But if you watched the last episode, you'll know I only had 7 buckets worth of hyper experience, which was nowhere near enough for what I needed. And now I've got over 25 buckets of it, and I've still got a little bit of XP left going through. What I don't have though is a great deal of lapis. And even though I spent a few minutes this morning using my shiny Fortune 4 pickaxe to grab a whole bunch of lapis from in my mine, I've pretty much burnt through all of that as well, creating just this. I actually need 40 buckets because I've spent a little bit of time sorting out these rooms where we're going to have our hyper enchanting. Each one of the rooms has 4 blaze enchanters, and they will all have a different enchantment they'll be able to hyper enchant. But once I start pumping in that hyper XP, it's going to send 2 buckets worth to each one of these. And whilst I could use valves and things like that to limit how much each one gets, I don't want to. I want each one to have the full 2 buckets worth. As you can see here, none of these ones have actually got enchanted books. They've just got books, and that's because I don't have these enchantments yet. So I need to do a little work with my villagers to get all of the books that I need. So how am I going to get a whole bunch more lapis without spending hours and hours mining? Well, it just so happens with my fancy mod that I made, if I mix nether quartz and blue dye on a superheated basin, it'll give me 1 piece of lapis, which seems a bit expensive until you realize I've got 23,000 quartz here, and I believe if I come back to Hill Valley, there should be a whole, but yeah, 2.6 million of it. So I'm not short of that. One thing I am short of though is blue dye. I've got 990 of it, which means I'll only be able to make 990 lapis. Because I don't have a blue dye farm, and making one of those means cornflowers and things like that. But I've got another idea. You see, another way of getting blue dye is to crush lapis. And when you crush lapis, you get 2 blue dye back and 10% chance of another one. So if I was to create a system that made lapis and then crushed it to get more blue dye and then made lapis again, it'll cost me twice as much quartz, but it will generate me a bunch of lapis and blue dye, which would be nice. So that just leaves me with the problem of experience nuggets. And whilst my mob farm has been working hard generating me a whole bunch of this stuff, it's all pretty much been used actually making that little bit of hyper experience we've got, and I've only got 2,000 of them left. So how am I going to make those? Well, again, coming to our recipes, I can get nuggets of experience from crushing all sorts of different things, including quartz, which will give me a 30% chance of a nugget of experience, and I've got millions of quartz, so I should be able to get a whole bunch of nuggets doing that. But none of that explains how I'm going to farm netherite. Well, we'll get to that later. For now, I need to come back to the library and think about where I'm going to be building this system to generate as lapis and more nuggets of XP. And fortunately, because of the way that I've arranged all of these blaze burner or blaze enchanter rooms, I've actually got a whole bunch of rooms left at the end of this corridor that I'm no longer going to be using. So I think a nice big room like this could be a good place to start. Now, bringing my quartz and my blue dye over here will be easy enough, but I've got to get a superheated blaze burner. So hopping myself down to the ground floor and into our little power station area, you can already see we've got some superheated blaze burners down here running off this tank of diesel, which is absolutely full to the brim. So I just need to pump a bit of that upstairs. And bringing the lava upstairs really shouldn't be a big problem because we're only going to the first floor. So there we go. We've now got that just here. So let's make ourselves a little temporary holding tank just here. About that sort of size should do. And then just one of those there. There we go. We're now powering that pump. Now I want to get as much of this quartz as absolutely possible into a storage drawer. And it could take a long time transferring 2.6 million of it. So we're going to need some smart chutes and some drawer controller slaves. And of course, a spruce drawer with a couple of upgrades on it. There we go. That's going in nice and quickly. If you're enjoying this video, then consider hitting that subscribe button. It only takes a second and it really helps me out. And while these hoppers drain out and that continues to fill up, I'm going to go and do a little bit of trading with my villagers to get the enchanted books that I'm missing. And I haven't got all of them, but I should be able to get a few. Well, there's power 4. We should be able to make respiration 3 from a couple of respiration 2s. Feather falling 4. Fire protection 1. I suppose I could buy a bunch of those and make fire protection 4. And that just leaves sweeping edge. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is come up to my old XP tank, grab myself a whole bunch of levels, and get these books combined. So respiration 2 twice gives us respiration 3. So 2 more sweeping edge 1s, and then 2 sweeping edge 2s gives us sweeping edge 3. 2 fire protection 2s gives us fire protection 3. 2 more fire protection 1s gives us another fire protection 2. 2 more fire protection 1s gives us another fire protection 2. Those 2 together gives us another fire protection 3. So if I put those together, I get fire protection 4. And that should now mean that we've got plenty of quartz to be getting on with as well. Yeah, over 130,000. That should be more than enough. We've still got 2.5 million left. So back in our new room then, let's just throw that down for a second. Let's grab as much blue dye as we can take, throw that in another storage drawer. And now I'm going to go and train a few of my enchanters with these enchanted books we've got. So you're going to give us sweeping edge 4, give you feather falling. There we go. You've got fire protection. And now we've got a guy with power 5, which will give us power 6. Right, lapis. Let's go in the lapis production room and figure out how we're going to do this. And we're going to need a couple of whisks, and we're going to need some crushing. Oh, I've never got any crushing wheels. Back to Hill Valley. You should make the stuff that you need closer. I know I should, but I don't. And there's one set of crushing wheels. And let's create a few more sets of these just so that I don't have to come back here anytime soon. And this should be my last set, and this is going to give us 32 crushing wheels altogether, which should be plenty to be getting on with. Here we go, and done. Blaze burner there, mixer, mixer. And then we just need a depot there and a depot there, and then we can tell this to pick up from there and shove it in there. Bring that out to there with a bit of belt on there like that. I'm going to stick a couple of crushing wheels on around about that point there, something a little bit like that, and then we just need that to go into this one. So we're going to need another blaze burner with another mixing bowl on it. I've not got very good access around here now, have I? Okay, moving it all around slightly then. I've now got my quartz over there and my blue dye there, and that's because I need quartz and blue dye to go into that mixing bowl there, and I also need quartz to go into this mixing bowl here. So we'll have a couple of arms to do that, and that should be this setup pretty much complete. Before I do anything else, I'm going to have to put down a rolling mill and throw in a couple of those because I need a couple of straws, and then I can give these blaze burners both the straw each to attach them to the pipe. And now they're going to be superheated. And I think what we'll do is just have another belt going this way, put an upgrade in that, throw a bit of lapis in so we know what it is, and of course that's going to need a funnel. And this is also going to need a funnel, just like that. And our blue dye as well is going to need a funnel. Now, we've got to think about this a little bit more logically. Once that's run out, we're not going to be producing lapis there anymore, which means we're not going to be crushing it to make more blue dye. So once this lapis is generated here, we actually need to be able to take it back round again and put it through the crushers. But we also want to store a certain amount of it as well. I'm actually going to double up this belt at this point here, and then I'm going to put a couple of brass tunnels on there, and that'll send some of it into our basin. So we'll have a draw controller slave on there. That's going to have a funnel in it to send half of the blue dye back round here, and that's going to go back into there. And with all of those there, we'll be able to see what's going on a little bit better, and then we can use the draw controller slaves with brass funnels on, and then we'll just set those to exactly one, so we're not getting a whole stack through at a time. And now we just need to get power to all of this. Gearbox there, a vertical gearbox there, bit of chain drive on there, and a bit of chain drive there. I need to throw a shaft in there to get those going, and they're now going in the right direction, so that's good. That's also powered our pump, so we're now superheated, so we just need to power the mechanical arms. One of those there, with a cog on there like that. That's all of the arms now powered, and now we should be in business. So there we go. We now have a fancy little system generating us lapis, and I guess blue dye as well, because that's going to keep ticking up too. The only thing it's going to use is the nether quartz, but we've got millions of it. And now that all that's in place, we can work on our experience nuggets. So let's come out of this room, and I guess we'll hop into this room, and this can be where we crush quartz. Well, you've used the quartz over there. Yep, I'm going to need another big old box of quartz to crush it. Okay, 360,000 should do it, and with a 30% chance of getting nuggets out of there, we should get probably around about 100,000 from that, and that'll be more than enough to get us them last few buckets of XP. So I think what I'm going to do is move this box for a minute out the way, throw a couple of these on the wall there like that, and then let's say have 4 rows of crushing wheels. That should be plenty, I think. And we'll want a belt going underneath those. And above these, we're going to have some more of these draw controller slaves, just like that, attached to some trim coming down the back here. And we'll bring that over to this corner here. Stick a draw controller next to it. And now we want a whole bunch of smart chutes again. Let's just sneak down the back here, bring this draw trim around here like this, all the way to the front of our belt. And let's just remove those for a second. Oh, geez, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, yeah, see, that's what I didn't want to happen. So power then. We're going to have a gearbox there. We'll have a bit of chain drive there and a gearbox there, and that should power these okay. I need to craft myself another speed controller and probably stick that somewhere. I guess we can shove it on there for now. That'll do. And then with a bit of chain drive, I can connect that to that, and hopefully we can get these crushing wheels. Oh, they are already going in the right direction. That's good. We just need to power the belt now, and then another one across there, and that's going in the right direction. That's good. Everything's going in the right direction. Let's pop ourselves a draw controller slave there. Let's stick ourselves another spruce draw there with some emerald upgrades in it, and then we just want a funnel going into that. So all we need to do now is reconnect our storage drawer slaves at the top, and hopefully now this is going to start generators and a whole bunch of yeah, there it goes. This is going to be full in no time. Look at that, we've already got 2,000. All I did was put some lights on. Jeez, we now need to get all of those from both of these rooms this way through this wall here, because this is where our production facility is. And we'll just bring those across here like this, along the floor there, and then we'll just go straight across the floor into that room. And then if we really don't like the decoration, we can always cover this up with a few of these floorboards, a little bit like that. We'll do the same thing here at these doors, and then here we could probably have some decoration on the wall to cover that up. So let's dig out the floor a bit more here, and we'll take that into this room and connect with these storage drawers here. And now we don't need that storage drawer controller. We also don't need this quartz here anymore. And we can tidy that up a little bit like that. So let's just take the quartz out of that one and put it straight into that one. We might as well have all of the quartz in here. And now we need to connect all of these storage drawers to this system in here. And I'm going to put it in here because I want everything controlled from this room. And that should now pick up everything. Perfect. Okay, good news. We're actually generating more XP than we're able to use. The only reason it's going out of there faster than it's going in is because it's filling up this tank. But this tank is actually filling up faster than we're creating the hyper experience. We've now got lapis coming in faster than we can use that as well, which is great. We've still got tons of glow squid ink, and I've still got thousands of that at the glow squid farm, so that's not running out. And our blaze cakes aren't running out either. And now we're up to 33 buckets worth, and that means I can actually swap this pipe out here for a pump, and I can steal a little bit of power from over here, and that's going to send that all into our blaze burners. We should see, yeah, they've all gone blue. That's good news. These have all gone blue. That's good news. And now these are all blue as well. This is good news. The only downside to this is the ones that I haven't actually given books to, like this one, are now full of hyper experience. And if I take its book off him, I think it's just going to lose that hyper experience. But I could always pump it back out if I need to. You see, I got a whole bunch of comments telling me that if I actually spin the pump round the other way, it'll suck it back out of those and send it back into here, which it looks like it's doing. So that's fantastic as well. So that means, other than a few enchanted books that were missing, we have done everything we needed to do to get our hyper enchanting setup 100% complete. And the only books we're missing are projectile protection, blast protection, depth strider, sharpness, smite, and punch. And yes, that's right, we're on episode 40, and I still haven't got any depth strider, but I haven't needed it really. So we'll get those at some point. But before I do that, I want to ask you some questions. And my first question is, what mods would you like to see me add to this world? Bear in mind, I'm using the Forge mod loader, and I can't change that. And we're on Minecraft 1.20.1, so any mods you suggest do need to actually be suitable for this version, and I might consider adding those for the next set of videos. The next question is, what buildings and farms would you like to see me build? Because, well, I need to build some more farms and things. Now, I've got a big old list, but I'd like to know what you guys think. So get down there in the comments and let me know what you think. And because this is episode 40, I'm going to be doing an updated world download for all of my patrons, and that'll be available at the end of this episode. And in order to get to the end of this episode, I've got a whole bunch of building to do, because we're going to start producing netherite. That's right, we're not going to go to the nether for it. We don't need to go to the nether at all. We just need a road to go to another building, and this building will be a big one because it's going to have a whole netherite factory in it. And how are we going to produce netherite? Well, we're going to need a bunch of netherite scrap, and in order to get netherite scrap, you'd normally need ancient debris, but in my mod pack, we can make netherite dust. And then if you deploy nuggets of XP and lava and press them 5 times, you get a netherite scrap. And in order to get netherite dust, you just have to mix powdered obsidian with cinder flour on a superheated blaze burner. And we're going to produce every single one of those items, including the obsidian and the netherrack and the XP and everything like that, all in one building that's going to go right here. So we better get cracking. The foundation is now in place, and as you can see, I've extended the platform on both sides, so it's time to start building. And the first thing I need over here is fluid. I'm going to need a tank for lava, one for some diesel, and we're also going to need water over here. And why would I want a tank for water? Well, I think it'll just look nice. And of course, they all need linking to our network, which means I need to get both trucks down here and offloading their fluids into these tanks. And there we go. As you can see, we've now got the tankers coming in, and they're not dropping anything off because we've got no power here yet. So we need to do that next. So now we've got all of our tanks in and a power station that's generating us 131,000 stress units using the superheated blaze burners running off our diesel. So we've got plenty of power, we've got all the fluids we need, we can start working on this. And this here is how we're going to make netherite just from cobblestone. It couldn't be simpler. It's quite complicated. We first of all need a cobble generator. Then we're going to use a recipe to turn that into magma blocks. There is already a recipe to turn lava buckets into magma blocks, but it's not a very good recipe because in my mind, if you put lava in crushing wheels, you're just going to get lava all over your crushing wheels. So I added my own recipe. We're going to put lava onto cobblestone, press it twice and repeat that 5 times, and there's a 95% chance we'll get magma block. There's a 5% chance we're going to get cobblestone back. So that's how we're going to get the magma. Then we're going to turn that into obsidian. And the way we do that is just to wash the magma. And once we've got that, we can crush it into obsidian dust, and then we need to go down this path here. So we're going to take some more of the cobble, we're going to wash it into gravel, wash it again into sand, and then hunt it into soul sand. Then we're going to wash that, which is going to give us gold and quartz, and then we're going to crush that quartz into XP. The gold nuggets we're going to press into gold ingots, and that's going to take us all the way down here. So we better go back over here and figure out what else we're doing with this. Some of this magma that we're getting, we're going to crush it and turn it into netherrack, and then we're going to crush that into cinder flour. Then that's going to be processed with the powdered obsidian into the netherite dust. Then we're going to process that into the netherite scrap, and then we can combine that with the gold into the netherite. And we're going to start with a cobblestone generator, but not like you've ever seen before. Back over at Hill Valley, we've got an immense cobblestone generator in here, which is absolutely incredible. In fact, I think it's one of the most efficient cobblestone generator designs in the whole of Create, unless you count those glitchy ones that got patched out. And we could build something like this, but the problem with this is it's incredibly laggy. Every time the cobble forms and then gets broken, the entire thing just slows down the server and we get big old lag spikes. So I don't want that. And back over in the snowy area, we've got another cobblestone generator down here, and you need a lot of these to make a reasonable amount of cobble, and this one's also very laggy too, because every time the cobble forms and breaks again, it causes big old lag spikes. So I don't want that either. So how are we going to make a cobblestone generator that provides a reasonable amount of cobble that isn't laggy? Well, I've added a recipe for that too. All we got to do is get a mixer with some water and some lava, and that's going to generate us cobblestone, which will be very slow compared to the other designs, but this is a netherite farm. It's not supposed to be fast. I don't need millions of it. I just need a bit. So we'll start there. So having this set up somewhere near our lava and our water might be a good idea, and I think something like this with maybe 4 or 5 of these should do the trick, and we can basically pump in either lava or water from underneath and then the opposite into the sides. So with a little bit of jiggery pokery for that power, I've now got all of the lava and water coming into these basins, so we just need power for these. And I think we'll come across the back here like this, drop a couple of shafts down there, bring a cog off there, throw a little gearbox on there and bring that across to there, and now we're producing cobblestone. Now we want a few item drains coming out of these, so all of the cobblestone comes out and goes all over the floor, but we don't want it going over the floor. We actually want it to go into these draw controller slaves that just want a few funnels on the back like that, and then we can connect this up to a storage network, but I'm not 100% sure where this is going to go yet, and even at full speed I don't think this is going to be fast enough. It's pretty slow. So So let's have a bunch more of them. And the next one is going to be cobble into magma blocks. So for this, we're going to need a belt, a little bit like this. And we're going to need another belt in front of that, a little bit like that. We're going to need a spout just there and a couple of presses next to that. Now we're actually chewing through this lava faster than our truck can bring it over. So I've reduced this to just having 5 cobblestone generators. And now we've got lava over here as well. And I've just arranged this setup a little bit better. Add in a little bit of power and some more shaft, we can get this thing actually working, so that if I was to throw a bit of cobblestone on here, the system should work. Now it's going to do this 5 times, which at the moment is very slow for one piece of cobblestone, but again we've got a speed controller, so we can turn that right up and get that going full speed. But again, we're out of lava because my van's just not coming fast enough. So after a little bit of faffing about, I've now got a pipeline all the way from our liquid storage building over there all the way to our lava, so that we're constantly pumping in lava from an infinite source. And now these are not running out. And the good thing about this is I've now got 2 sets of them. And the reason for that is because we're going to need to use it in 2 different ways. So these are going into these storage drawers, these are going into those storage drawers, and both of those are completely separate. And the reason I want them separate is because I don't want half of the process stealing all of the cobblestone and leaving the other one without any. Anyway, back to the magma processing system. We've now got 2 brass funnels on there, one to take in the magma, and this one is being controlled by a redstone link that will only allow cobblestone in there if there's less than 1% of cobblestone in this barrel here. So that should work. So now that we've got the cobblestone generators and the magma done, and we're generating a reasonable amount of magma, it's time to turn that into obsidian and crush it. And I think we'll stick to this half of the building for doing that. For the obsidian washing, we're going to have 4 fans set up like this with a little bit of water in front of each of those. I don't think it needs to be water sources, but I'm going to do it for completion. And we just need to take magma out of there and put obsidian in there. And the way we're going to do that is with these funnels that are going to be extended all the way up to the vent blocks. This one's going to have a magma block filter, and this one's going to have an obsidian filter. And with a couple of copycat panels and a bit of glass, we won't get blown all over the place. So now this just needs connected to the storage drawers. There it is. It's going through. So we can tick off cobble to magma block. We can tick off wash magma to obsidian. So now we just need to crush it into some obsidian powder. For crushing the obsidian, again, because we're not using huge quantities, we are only going to need 1 set of crushing wheels. With the crushing wheel on there and one on there, we'll bring these storage drawers along a little bit. Bring those up to there. Bring the drawers underneath this belt, which we can actually shorten a little bit. Bring them up there. This one, of course, is going to be obsidian. But this one, we're actually going to use an andesite funnel because there is a chance we'll get our obsidian back when we crush it into powdered obsidian, so we don't want to filter what's going back in there. So what we need now on here is a bit of power. Connect that with a little bit of shaft and cover it up, and now we've got power to that. So that should be producing us some obsidian powder. So let's throw that in there, and now we're generating that too. So that's the journey to our obsidian powder complete. Now we need to work on even more of this magma to create netherrack to crush it into cinder flour. So a few minutes later, and I've scooched a few things around a bit in order to optimize this layout. So we've still got these drawers here. Over this side now, we've got some cobble generators ready for this side of processing, and now we've just got 4 of them over here generating cobble for our obsidian and our netherrack. So I've moved the magma block processing thing next to that, and then we've got a split tunnel system here, which is going to take our magma blocks, split them between both of those tunnels. Half of them are going to get washed into obsidian, and the other half are going to get crushed. And that should give us some netherrack. Then we've got these crushing wheels here, which take the obsidian and turn it into the obsidian powder. And now I just need a set of crushing wheels, which is going to take the netherrack from here, which should just be sat there. Yes, it is. Let's shove that in our drawers over there. And that's also going to generate as magma cream as well. And this magma cream we can also turn into magma blocks. So we need a couple more machines over here. And what I'm trying to do is keep everything for these drawers on this side of the building, and everything that's going to be in those drawers are going to be on that side of the building. So there's the crushing wheels for our netherrack, which is going to give us cinder flour. Let's just give that a draw. And now I just need to squeeze in a tiny little press somewhere, and I think we'll just do that behind this. And there we go. We got a nice little press set up now as well. We just need a little bit more magma cream, and we need to spin those round so they're actually going in the right directions. So there we go. Now that's going to produce us more magma blocks from the tiny little bit of magma cream we get, which we're not going to get many of because, well, we're not crushing that much magma. So this is going to be slow. For now, that is one half of this building complete. Now we've got to do the other half, which is going to be cobblestone to gravel to sand to soul sand to quartz to experience. How hard could it be? And in no time at all, I've got a whole bunch more machines set up that are doing half of the stuff that we need them to do. So we're crushing cobblestone into gravel, which is then getting crushed into sand, and that's also giving us clay and flint, which I don't really want. And then behind that, we've got this haunting machine, which is haunting the sand into soul sand, and then we've got a washing machine, which is washing the soul sand into quartz and gold. And all of that's working very nicely, and it's all coming through here, so we're generating a good amount of quartz, a good amount of gold, and way too much flint and gravel. I guess we can probably burn it. So checking the list, I have done everything off the XP side of things, apart from crushing the quartz to give us the XP, and I should add, press the gold into gold ingots here as well. So 2 more little lines, and we've got plenty of space to squeeze it all in. And there's our quartz crushing system, giving us XP already. Let's go find a slot for that. That can go there. And now we've got our gold processing system in place. We're taking gold nuggets out of there, they're going into there, and they're getting pressed into ingots, which means we're now generating a whole bunch of ingots. In fact, we're generating a whole bunch of everything. We've got 653 cinder flour, 2,971 obsidian powder, we've got 1,532 nuggets of XP, and 94 gold ingots, which is pretty much everything we need for the next step of the plan. So I've ticked off everything off the list apart from mixed powder and cinder flour on a superheated blaze burner to create nether dust, and then we just need to take that nether dust and put some XP on it and some more lava, press it a few times, and then we're going to get our netherite scrap, and then we can combine that with the golden. So there's 3 more things to do. Right, okay. I want to keep this area at the front of this open, so I think we'll have our little blaze burnery mixy thing just here. We'll put a basin on top of him, stick a mixer on top of that, and we'll stick a depot there and one there with a couple of draw controller slaves there in front of those. We do need to get that diesel over here, so I guess I've got some digging ahead of me now. And we'll get some pipe under the blaze burner, run it along the floor down here, and then come across all of this junk. So I'm going to go under this rather than over it, so I can keep it all nice and tidy above it. I'm going to stick another depot there, so that's going to be our input, and I was kind of hoping this would naturally spit out that way, but it looks like it wants to go in this direction. Can I spin it round? Oh, I can. Okay, well that's better then. However, in order to get the right items into the bowl, we're going to need a mechanical arm. I don't think I've got any, so I'm going to have to craft one, but that shouldn't be a problem. And this arm needs to take from there and take from there and put it in there. Put that there, and now we've got our mechanical arm powered as well. So we need to grab some of this and a little bit of that. Put one of those on there and one of those on there. Spin them both round. Set them to 1 each. And now I just need to connect these ones to these ones, and now this should get into action. It is doing. Is it going to create what we want? It is. We've got netherite dust. There we go. We're now generating a whole bunch of netherite dust. So we've done that bit, which is everything I had on my list. But the next thing to do is set up this processing line. Nuggets of XP, lava, and a press. Okie dokie. We'll do that back here. And that's going to be very similar to this one. So this system's about ready, but this one's going to be quite tricky because it needs to be able to talk to both of our storage systems, which means I might have to join them together. The reason for that is it needs nuggets of XP as well as the netherite dust, and if it makes a mistake, it's going to create powdered obsidian or cinder flour instead of netherite scrap. But XP lives on this one, and the other ones live on this one. So I need this XP joining to this top section here, but I want everything else joined to this one. Let's first of all join these ones all the way over to this. So now that should allow, there we go, those little ones to come out. So what I think I'm going to do is just come down the back of this, try not to interact with these storage drawers, and then come underground around this bit here over to this line. And that should now allow the nuggets of XP to come out. Yes, we're getting the nuggets of XP on there now. Excellent. So these are now processing. And once it turns into netherite scrap, it should go into that funnel there. Here we go. We're getting it. Netherite scrap is coming through now. So all we need to do is give that a storage drawer and possibly sleep. Hey, guys. Now, I should probably put a roof on this building. No, thank you. Oh, I'm in bed. Leave me alone. Ha, gotcha. So we now have all of the ingredients. Shush. So we now have all of the ingredients we need to start making the good stuff. This is very exciting. So I just need one more machine. Will you shut up? You're all dead. How are you still making noises? And all we need is a mixer and some of these. Oh, I bet I can squeeze that in right here. Depot, depot, depot. Block, mixer, basin. You know what I mean. Mixer. Spin that round. Storage drawers, storage drawers, storage drawers, storage drawers. Controller, controller, controller. Power, power, power. Tidy, 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 tidy. Block, block, block. Mechanical arm. Take from there, put in there, sit up there, funnel in. Netherite scrap on there, gold on there. Exactly 4 at a time. Set that to exactly 4. And the items are coming out. But there's a problem here. We shouldn't be able to get gold and ancient debris on the same thing. So I must have connected these networks somewhere, which isn't necessarily a problem. It just means we've got 10,000 cobble in there now and not in there. So all that hard work I went to keep these two things separated and have joined together. The other slightly concerning thing is that this has got everything it needs to make what it needs to make, but it ain't putting the ancient debris in there for some reason. This needs to be on forced round robin, that's why. Let's throw that back in there and throw that back in there, and this should start mixing together some netherite, which it doesn't appear to be doing. Oh, it does. It's done it. There, we've got one. Let's put it in the drawers, and now we're generating netherite. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Oh, this is wonderful. Now, like I said before, we're not going to end up with millions of these things, so I can't see myself making a beacon out of them anytime soon. But this is all working rather splendidly, and what a crazy little factory it is. If only it had a building to live inside of. Wouldn't that be nice? And what would also be nice would be to get rid of all of this clay and flint, because I've got way too much clay in here already, and I've got 3.2 million flint, and I don't even need flint. And then we can put that on there with that filter on it, and then we can send all of that nasty, horrible stuff into the flames. But we do have 26 netherite ingots now. In that case, it must definitely be building time. And here it is, the Inferno. 100% complete externally and pretty much done on the inside too. Oh geez, there's a lot of mobs. I might wait till morning to show you the rest of it, but I kind of want to show you it in the dark because this entire place has been designed to be dark and dingy, a little bit like the Nether. As you can see around here, we've got some dead trees using various wood. Will you stop it? Okay, imagine it's nighttime and dark. And this place is all sort of in shadow apart from these bright lights around the outside that say Inferno. See, I actually wanted it to say Netherite, but the wall wasn't long enough to get that in there, so I decided to add Inferno instead. Sticking with the outside, we've got all of this dirt variants and mangrove roots and leaves and things, and we've got the chipped dead leaves to just make it all look like the area around this thing is all dead and decayed. And that's why I've made these trees. This one is using the cypress wood, and these ones are using mangrove wood, and I think they've come out pretty well. Now, I only actually built 2 of these, and then I used the schematic cannon to basically twist them around and clone them and move them around a bit, and I think it works well. And the idea of these was that they were growing over the fence into the building to sort of surround it, and I've done that on both sides. It's not exactly the same, everything's slightly different, and you can also see around here that I've used a few of the dead coral things, a few lava pools, some dead bushes, just to make it all look, well, dead. So let's have a look at the building then. Starting with this fence. Obviously, we want a secure area here if we're keeping all of our netherite in this place, which is why we've got a big old fence with a chain link fence behind it and a whole bunch of barbed wire on the top, which actually does hurt quite a lot if you land on it. It's a bit like cobwebs, but really spiky. On the inside of this little area here, we've got some containers, we've got some gas bottles with some urns, we've got some of these blackstone lamps, some cages, some more gas bottles, a tank of lava and a tank of diesel, just to sort of fill that area up a little bit. So that takes us onto the building, and what I wanted was a charred exterior, and I wanted to use as many of the nethery blocks as possible. But let's start on this side. We got blackstone, deep slate and basalt bricks that go all the way around with a few lanterns on, and then that comes up to this area here with our big sign, and this sign is on both sides of the building. And eventually I'll bring the trees around the back of this as well when I extend the platform in the future, but for now the platform doesn't go any further than that. Going up another layer, we've then got the obsidian and warped wood layer. I wanted to sort of incorporate the purple side of things for the obsidian powder that we're creating. And this floor's got lava behind the walls and nice orange windows. And I think with the roof on there, that doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit more fantasy than a lot of the things in this area, but I think it works. And then onto this side. Now, I actually wanted to make this out of nether bricks and netherrack bricks and things like that, but those were just too vibrant. They didn't blend very well, so I just decided to make it out of normal brick with this top on here and put some massive chimneys on there. And we've also got these fans as well, which we can actually see from inside the building too. So now it's time to go inside. And the reason it's called Inferno is because inside is an inferno. It's just covered in lava and magma blocks, and we have these skinny little walkways to get around the whole area, making the entire thing feel a little bit dangerous. But then it should be dangerous because it's creating stuff that's, you know, shouldn't be created, and we've got 515 of them now. And then it leads to these stairs here, which come up to this little catwalk and into a room that has nothing in it yet, but it will in a minute. And then there's some more stairs that lead up to another room here, which is our obsidian room, and I've got plans for this one too. This room has got all of the lava visible from the inside as well, and I think that kind of worked. And it's also got access to in the top of this, which there really isn't a great deal in here, but we might be able to use this room in future for something as well, although I've no idea what that would be. So heading back out, back into here and back down these stairs, there's a couple of things I want to talk about what's going on with this factory, and that is that we're creating an absolutely ridiculous amount of powdered obsidian and cinder flour. And as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of netherite scrap, but we're not creating much gold. In fact, we're hardly creating any XP and any gold at all, which means the actual process of turning that into that is really, really slow. So what I've done to try and alleviate this a little bit is I've slowed down this magma processing facility as much as possible, and that should hopefully mean that more of the cobble can get sent over here to be turned into gravel and sand, and then quartz, then experience and gold. But I've got another plan for experience too, thanks to all of you guys in the comments. You see, it turns out you can haunt stone into infested stone, and then when you place that and break it with a drill, the silverfish pop out, and then you can crush those and turn them into nookies of XP. And because this episode has already gone on way too long, I'm just gonna cut to it being done. This isn't my world. This is my creative test world, and I have built a silverfish XP farm. And how it works is we've got a cobble gen here that's getting blasted into stone, that's getting haunted into infested stone, it's going in here, it's coming up there, it's getting deployed there, it's getting broken by that drill. The silverfish fall out, they go through the crushing wheels, and very, very occasionally they will drop a nugget of XP, but really not very often. I've got 22 in here, and this has been running for about 5 minutes. Now I could make this entire thing a whole bunch bigger, have more cobble being generated and processed, then deployed and broken, but to be honest with you, the size of that and all of the resources it would cost in terms of crushing wheels and all that sort of stuff, I just don't think it would be worth it, because you really don't get very much at all. So I think we'll leave this room of requirement to require something else, and the one that I've got plans for upstairs, I'm just not going to have time to do today, because that's going to be a big project that involves going through the nether roof, would you believe? So tune in for the next episode to check that one out. For now, what I'm going to do is grab a bunch of this netherite, head over to the library, press the elevator button and wait for the elevator, take the elevator upstairs, and then I'm going to grab myself a smithing table, a bunch of smithing templates and some diamonds. I only got 28 really? I must have more diamonds than that. What? I've only got 28 diamonds? Oh geez, well I'm not going to be able to make as many of these as I thought. And there we go, we've got 7 of them, which means I've got 1 for spares, 7 diamonds left, and now we're going to pump all of this hyper experience into all of my enchanting things. Let's turn it on and send it through. That should go down pretty quickly. There we go. And now all of these should be nice and blue. Excellent. So I think first of all, we want Unbreaking 4 on everything. So let's click our pickaxe on there. And now my axe, and now my shovel, and my helmet, and my chest plate, and my trousers, and my boots. And now I'm going to add a bit of protection 5 to everything, get an upgrade on feather falling, and respiration, and swift sneak. And now I'm going to enchant my sword as well. Now I've got no smite book, and I've got no depth strider book. I may have accidentally broke a pipe and given myself a whole bunch of levels, and I've been stood here for 10 minutes already, and they're still going into the disenchanter. But good news, it's given us a lot of XP. So now that I've got some tools and equipment with ridiculous enchantments on them, let's make them even better. And there we go. I am now 100% fully netherited, but I hate the color of it. I have got some trims though. I've even got the silence trim, but I've got no more diamonds.